These Blythe geoglyphs are probably the most impressive ones along the whole Colorado River. There's at least 5, one of them being 172 feet long, others quite a bit smaller but of similar design. There's other ones in the Fort Mojave, near Parker and some other places, but the Blythe ones are the most impressive and most similar to like the Atacama Giant in Chile, which is not too far from Tiwanaku in Bolivia, and the Nazca figures as well. Again, the whole landscape here is very reminiscent of Nazca, but all these tribes, these Yuma tribes, the Mojave and the giant warriors and the pygmies that we recorded and talked about in our book Giants on Record, who are living along the Colorado River in the 1500s at least, do suggest this was a thriving area all along this river. This river goes all the way up to the Grand Canyon and beyond. And so it's just amazing to be able to see so many of these glyphs. And the ones in Blythe are easy to get to. You just got to make sure you see them all, and you really need to get up in the air. I think that's one of the reasons these were created. These are designed to be seen from the air, and whether that's a shamanic thing where you raise your consciousness up into the sky and look down, or whether they're messages to the sky gods, or even for giants to look at. Whoever they're for, whether they're for the star people, whether they're for even extraterrestrials, or whether they're for just a higher level of consciousness, the fact they're still here, the fact they're still looked after, and they're potentially thousands of years old is a real delight. And so I really recommend checking out all these intaglios or geoglyphs all along the Colorado River, right down from Quartzsite to Blythe to Parker to Fort Mojave. And there's probably many more that are yet to be discovered, and there's certainly many that have been destroyed. So I'm at the Topock Maze. Now this is along the Colorado River near the town of Needles, and it's a Mojave kind of carving, geoglyph in the landscape of multiple rows, like a maze, like a labyrinth, stretching for about 10 acres across the desert behind me here. Now this is potentially, you know, in correspondence really with the Blythe Intaglios, or the geoglyphs down near Blythe and Parker. It could be built by the same people, the Colorado River Native Americans, the Mojave in this particular area. And this is really interesting because it was recorded in the early 1900s. So it's been known about for at least 100 years. So it probably is Native American, it probably is ancient. And it stretches these parallel rows about 5 feet apart where the gravel has been pushed to one side to create like a maze. And there's even stories from the early 1900s suggesting that this was a way to kind of lose the devil. You would go into the maze, you'd go into the center, and you would lose you'd lose the devil if you'd been possessed by him even. Another story says that the devil would get lost, or demons would get lost when trying to navigate through it. And so there's different stories, but always seem to be relating to purifying oneself, almost like some kind of initiation, you know, to kind of, you know, have a spiritual experience and to ascend the problems that you're having. And so we can't go in it now. It's a very secluded site, but I've got some beautiful aerial shots so you can see the magnificence of this. So what we're looking at is the Ahamaka Valley. This is the original Mojave Nation, the people of the Colorado River. And as you look across the valley, you can see the main road in the distance, but you can also see the river in the far distance and the mountains behind it. And once this river was several miles wide in some parts. At the northernmost part of the valley stands the spiritual mountain of Avi-Kwa-Ami, from whence the Ahamaka received the instructions of life in the first time. Here upon this land where we're now standing is this amazing Topock Maze, which is a very important cultural site. And again, it's based upon purification and for warriors, you know, purifying themselves from returning home from battle. And there's some different stories about this. It's, you know, there's hundreds of archaeological sites along the Colorado River. We have the Blythe geoglyphs, we have the Parker geoglyphs, we have the serpent, we have the fisherman, and we have this maze. And we're going to go and try and find some more slightly further north here, which are like the Hero Twins, again next to the Colorado River, about 10 or 15 miles north of here. And you can even see on the information board here, it's got this type of pottery that the Native Americans in this area once made. And again, you can see this beautiful piece here as well. And it's thought that there were other geoglyphs in this area, but they kind of got destroyed when the road was being built and constructions were being made. You can see examples of the constructions all over here. And there's the sacred mountain there in the distance. But what really fascinates me about this whole area along the Colorado River is the fact that in the 1500s, Spanish explorers were traveling along the river, and there was a famous journey made by some particular explorer, and they came up the river to the Yuman area, the Yuman tribe, and they were greeted by these Kapoka warriors. Now these were giant warriors, 8 to 9 feet tall, but they were also greeted, and they were living with the giants, a bunch of pygmies or dwarfs. And so we have these strange traditions of you know, items getting thrown at these early explorers as they're moving along the Colorado River. And I question, especially with the Blythe, the 172 feet long Blythe geoglyph, is that actually a representation of the giants? There's smaller ones there, but that one is so large, and I believe it may represent a kind of giant leader or a giant shamanic ruler of this particular area. So just behind me are the Fort Mojave geoglyphs. These are two human figures lying sort of one on top of the other, one above the other. These are very close to Fort Mojave, just next to the Colorado River. It's a sort of pristine kind of lush valley here with some whole range of burnt trees, which gives quite an amazing impression when you get here. But these are supposed to represent potentially the hero twins of creation, which is part of the Mojave kind of tradition. We find very similar ones at Blythe. We find other ones in different parts of Arizona, California border along the Colorado River. Amazingly, there were 200 of these all over the area, as well as a Topock Maze as well. So we've got to see quite a lot here. We haven't had a chance, which really bugged me, to see the serpent because it's completely now blocked and you can't get through because of works that are going on there, quarrying and so forth. But we've seen quite a bit, so you can see this beautiful images from the air that potentially date back to 900 BC, anywhere between 900 BC and 1200 AD, all of these Colorado River geoglyphs. But I'm just amazed to see so many. As long as you know where to look and you do your research and you respect the land these are on, these are amazing places to visit here in North America.